You have it, everyone. You've been served with your political roundup stories. Let's get to it. The outrage over the side directive of a cybersecurity levy by the central government has reached a fever pitch. Tonight, spotlight falls upon that contentious directive issued by the Nigerian federal government regarding the imposition of a cybersecurity levy, a directive which was released in a communication from the Central Bank of Nigeria. That move has sparked a maelstrom of reactions across the nation. In the wake of this directive, the Trade Union Congress in Nigeria has vehemently voiced its dissent, brandishing the threat of a nationwide protest and economic shutdown should the policy persist. And notably, also the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, has castigated the policy as a relentless drain on an already ailing economy, likening it to a desperate act of milking a dying cow. As the nation teeters on the brink of unrest, economic and policy unrest, we navigate the complexities of weak governance and public response, seeking clarity amidst the cacophony of conflicting perspectives. Tonight, we'll be dissecting these issues, and I'm being joined by an elder statesman and the dean of the Borno Elders Forum, Professor Khalifa Dikwa, is a scholar and a political scientist. Thank you so much indeed, Prof, for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.
How does that policy come to you when the CBN came out to say there will now be a cybersecurity levy, and that is a pursuant to the Section 44 of the Cybersecurity Act?
It is not. It is
Act.
It is not a surprise to me because Nigeria is seemingly being controlled remotely, and each time there is something like that, it is not only about the President Tinubu. It had to do with others, the front runners. PDP and AD could have done the same, even worse. Remember, at one time, all of them went to one capital or another in order to promise something that they could have done. One of them to get rid of the refineries, to remove the subsidy. These are things that subsidies are, like I said it earlier. Each time I said the subsidies are rights. They are not privileges. They are rights of the people. Whatever we have, if it is gold that we have, this gold that we sell, we must have it. There is no way you have the mother who sells food and you to buy it exorbitantly. Your own must be at rebate. You must eat food, not impoverish you all the time.
So if Nigeria has an abundant oil, yes, Nigerians should be able to benefit
absolutely
from it by way of subsidies.
Absolutely. The white men, what are they doing? They don't have oil. They buy it, the white fuel, and they subsidize it by 80% for their own people. Why is it the opposite in Africa? They are doing it for Nigeria and Angola. Why is it that only Angola and Nigeria could not put together their refineries? All these years, even President Buhari promised 6 months, they couldn't do it because the foot soldiers are there. And Nigeria has been being trapped. They are waiting, they are trying to trap Nigeria since independence. They couldn't get Nigeria to be the way of Congo that is still fighting the wars with over 140 militant groups.
So you are saying weapons. The hands of former colonial masters and from foreign hands in these, but these are policies by our own government.
Absolutely.
But when you say that the government's policies are remote controlled actions, what do you mean? Who are these people?
You can't see them because they intimidate. And unless a leader will say, okay, whatever I have as a secret, you can take it, but I will let me serve my country. In the past, they used to use people within even the government to intimidate, to frame, to blackmail. Some of them, they poison them and they kill them, including intellectuals. But they protect their own intellectuals.
So you mean that the Tinubu government, most of their actions?
Blackmail. Being blackmailed.
So the likes of Femi Falana, who says IMF, World Bank are backing some of the policies of the government, that he is right.
Absolutely. Senior advocate Femi Falana was absolutely right. And it is not going to end there. The more you do one, tomorrow they will bring another one. They are interested in plunging Nigeria into crisis, lawlessness. That is the main thing that they want. And they are not happy that Nigeria is the only country without the foreign troops. They are not happy about it because all the countries surrounding us were troops, foreign troops.
But I mean, Burkina Faso, some of these countries are already repelling.
They have
already asking
why.
They have been
the
there
for over 10 years. They have not been to help them fight terrorism. After all, thank God we have the media, we have this social media and so on now helping. We can talk to our people in America, in China, everywhere we can talk and compare notes. They created the insurgency for other countries. It is a racist thing, one. Two, they don't behave, they don't want our population. It is our resources that they want.
But Prof, let's look at the meat of the matter, because your school of thought looks like a theory, which we need to find a strong evidence to back it. Well, let's talk about what this government has done, which came as a way of a directive from the Central Bank of Nigeria. And I mean, this is also captured in our laws as amended in 2024, that there shall be a cybersecurity levy 0.005, and which means it has implication for all of the transactions that will be made. Do you think this is in the interest of securing our cybersecurity territory in this country?
That is the difference between a leader and ruler. A leader will not choose any time. This particular time is very hectic and terrible for Nigerians. They are impoverished, they cannot do anything, they cannot feed. Therefore, as a leader, you must just say, no, we are not going to do it. After all, government can source money and secure the line without milking our people again. You have to have that humane thinking of doing. That is why I said President Tinubu before that we knew had that particular feeling of human beings. But this one, it is becoming something else. Why? Nigeria is a greater country, and they think that allowing Nigeria to fix its basics, infrastructure, electricity, refineries, and so on, we have already the national, what do you call them, the brains. Nigerians are excelling everywhere in the world. And therefore, they believe that allowing Nigeria to fix the basic infrastructure will allow Nigeria to guide other African countries, because everything being done by Nigeria is a model. And therefore, I just want Nigerian leaders to believe that once you are president of Nigeria, up to Mali, up to everywhere in Africa, you are their leader. And do not behave like a village headmaster. Yes. Therefore, whatever Nigeria does is very important. And therefore, at that time, we were not happy. President Tinubu chose ECOWAS rather than the Nigerian presidency. If he had not been elected president, he wouldn't have been chosen to be the chairman of ECOWAS. Why did he have to truncate the electricity that had nothing to do with ECOWAS?
But it was a form of an economic a sanction against those countries that have chosen military dictatorship other than democratic rule.
Military dictatorship, depending, whatever it is, not that is dictatorship, behind the scene. We said it on this channel several times that if you really know what is being done by French colonials behind the scene, you will not make a difference between military and
so the president made a major error of judgment.
Absolutely, major error, because they are different. Since independence, France had the right to pillage the resources by 100%. France had the right to train every personnel, military, police, everything. France has the right to invade a country and remove a sitting president, replace him with any other leader. And it was just a colonial continuous. Nothing like independence at that time.
But let's look
and
at
people do not know.
Yeah, Prof. The decision of the government over the cybersecurity levy, does it have any economic implication?
Whether it has or not, this is not the time, Seun. This is not the timing.
It's a wrong time.
It's a very wrong time. Why are you provoking the people of this country? They have taken enough.
Let me read this to you. This is coming from an opposition leader, Mr. Peter Obi. And it says, I quote him, he says, the introduction of yet another tax in the form of cybersecurity levy on Nigerians who are already suffering severe economic distress is further proof that the government is more interested in milking a dying economy instead of nurturing it to recovery and growth. He went further to say the imposition of a cybersecurity levy on bank transaction is particularly sad, given that the tax is on the trading capital of businesses and not on their profit, hence will further erode whatever is left of the remaining capital after the impact of the naira devaluation and high inflation rate. End of quote. That is Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Do you agree with what he said?
Mr. Obi, had he won, he will have removed the subsidy, the same way President Tinubu did. The same thing with Atiku Abubakar. Therefore, on that thing, anything fuel, they have no right, even they don't have the moral right even to criticize President Tinubu. They are the same feathers, birds of the same feathers, because they were loyal to a particular force outside. Particularly, they went to America and went to London. And whatever it is there, why doing it? Because the Londoners, the British, were not voting.
So you think that these levies, these taxes, these tariff policies are not homemade?
Anything that will impoverish and increase the poverty, the provocation will keep coming. In other countries, every 2 weeks, fortnightly, they give them one thing. And do not be surprised if tomorrow they will say, in order to get a good salary, retrenchment. Nigeria has reached a situation where if Nigeria had enough money, even those who are not working should have been given salary in order to survive.
Prof, let's take a breather. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, Professor Khalifa Dikwa is still with me, and we dissect more. Now, we will look at the threat of the TUC. They said they will shut down the economy, and they're asking the federal government, the Tinubu-led government, to do one thing: withdraw that policy on cybersecurity levy of 0.05 of the transactions. Whether this will happen, we do not know. We get Professor Dikwa's response afterwards. Thanks so much, everyone, for staying with us. Professor Khalifa Dikwa is an elder statesman, a political scientist, a scholar, and the Dean of Bruno Elders Forum is live with me here in Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Prof, for your time tonight.
Thank you.
There seems to be a trouble looming. When Labour steps into policies of government and they are making demands, one needs to be careful, because we know what has happened in the past. But TUC, this is what it said. Let me allow you to react to it. And I read portions of what the TUC has said today. Part of that statement reads that they are saying that the National Assembly, which ought to be the bastion of democracy and the protector of the citizens, oftentimes engage in collusion with elements within the executive to exploit the people. How can such an obnoxious law see the light of day in a truly people-oriented legislative house? This is indeed a conspiracy of the oppressors against the masses and citizens of this country, and it must be resisted by all well-meaning Nigerians. The TUC went further to say financial analysts have done a preliminary estimate using the 2023 online transfer volume in Nigeria that fell within these categories and put the value at about 2 trillion naira. What kind of cyber crime are we fighting with this humongous amount of money? This ugly development will further encourage people to hoard cash at home, reduce financial inclusion, increase poverty, and exacerbate the misery index. They went further to say, we call on the federal government to give a marching order to the Central Bank of Nigeria to immediately withdraw the circular and cancel the planned levy forthwith, failure of which we will be left with no option but to mobilize all our members, stakeholders, and indeed the entire masses to embark on the immediate protest that will culminate into the total shutdown of the Nigerian economy, as this is one exploitation too many. Enough is enough. Nigerians must breathe. These extortions must stop. Prof, if you were President Tinubu and seeing the warnings and the threat by the TUC, what would you do?
I will just withdraw it. This is democracy. And my people are saying no. I will just withdraw it and wait for another time. Conveniently do it. The difference between democracy and autocracy is the National Assembly. The National Assembly is not making noise like before. And secondly, the media, the freedom of speech. We didn't have it during military. That is the difference. Otherwise, there's no difference at all. Withdraw it, it is not the time. And I said they will ask for another one. It will not stop. And you have to choose your country or them. Either way, not both. You cannot do it. Because each time an African leader or president chooses to serve his own people, he is under attack, under blackmail, and so on. Particularly when he has certain things hidden there in far away in their own countries or
so
in
this
their
is
countries.
For you, this is fundamentally a foreign influence.
Absolutely, absolutely.
This is the hand
absolutely
of the white economic supremacy.
Absolutely, and they will not stop. And I see, why is it they are talking about cyber security? What about Boko Haram that was created? 1984, I was coming back from studies. I saw this document. Actually, this insurgency of war, something like for Independence Day, they were waiting for an opportunity to plunge Nigeria into the chaos. They never got it time. They tried it in 1966. It became a war where we lost brains at that time. They tried again during the second term of the Second Republic, 1983. The Khaki guys struck and took it away. They couldn't do it. And now they wanted to do it 2013 and so on. Each time they wanted somebody who will come in and say, start selling those things to continue from where President IBB stopped. We had SDP. Is it SDP?
SDP and NRC.
NRC, we used to call them SDP, soldier deceiving people. NRC, nothing reasonable coming. So under we have SAP, Structural Adjustment Program. And we had also TCPC, Technical Committee on Privatization and Commercialization. All those things were sold. They were private. They belonged to the people. All these national assets, if they were being sold at that time, would they have even met the National Assembly or the presidency?
So if you were this threat, if the government does not withdraw and listen to what organized labor is saying, they've told the world and they've told Nigerians what they will do. They said they will shut down the economy. I'm not sure we are ready for a shutdown of the Nigerian economy. I'm not sure Nigerian economy is ready for any kind of massive nationwide protest. But if this goes on, Prof, what do you fear the most?
I fear the worst. They can find something in between.
And what's that?
In between, say, it is abnormal to humiliate a whole government. And therefore, government can do something without doing it much in order to part ways and wait for another time. And bravely speaking, the best way is to withdraw, one. Number two, this insurgency, I said it, it was coming. And when it came, I said it will take different forms. And at that time, instead of government working, praising me, commending me for whatever I said patriotically, the foot soldiers within the corridors of powers were after me. And because of my patriotism. And therefore, it is not a hidden agenda. It is no longer hidden. Thank God they couldn't control the technology, ICT, because we can talk to colleagues everywhere. And why that Nigerians from diaspora are itching to come back home to work for their own country, to give their own part of help, but they cannot get the basic things. Always, the people are always underpaid if you are working. If you go to, we have lost over 60,000 people, doctors going away. Why are we training for other countries to drain.
Prof, let me ask you, what you are a northern elder.
Yeah.
And we're hearing this, and in fact, one of the ministers was telling some other members of the Tinubu government to say, look, you need to stand up and speak up for the Tinubu government. There are talks about northern elders not happy with the Tinubu government. Why?
Why? Because both of them, the Tinubu as a president and his vice president, both of them are qualified accountants. And each time you do accountants, you also know some economics. And his vice president, Kashim Shettima, is an intellectual, is a first-class scholar. If had he, the government, as a government, they should be able to say, Mr. Vice President, let us work something else that will be amenable, would be possible for our own country without hurting X, Y, Z. And therefore, Nigeria is a big deal. This time, it is the media and others to stand up.
Why are the northern elite not happy with Tinubu?
Not happy because each of these policies affects the North entirely.
And also appointments? Is that an issue?
Exactly, an issue, because most of the appointees are either misfits or weak or to the wrong places. All the economics and so on, these are basic things that are taken away, like ICT, anything finance, anything works, department and so on, were lopsided. Not only, they cannot be northern elite alone. Even the southeast should be annoyed because Nigeria is more than Lagos.
Prof, on the final note, if you were President Tinubu, this is just going to be 1 year. Just in 30 seconds, what would be your word of wisdom to his government?
I will never allow anything to utter the word that he uttered on 29 May. It is gone. Why it is gone? It is gone, but I will bring it back. Well, President Buhari did not budget for it, but I will bring it back. Will have been the message for Nigerians to breathe. But he did it, and to the satisfaction of these white people, they were happy. They were the first to clap. Why are they not doing the same thing in their countries? Why imposing Nigeria? Why Nigeria and African countries? Let us fix our basics.
All right.
And allow us, if they don't allow us, all this independence we had over 60 years of friendship. Nigeria is an unaligned country, and we can always deal with people from all parts of the world and fix the basic, particularly things that affect our people in terms of transport, education, all these things that are with
the basics, the fundamentals.
When you deny the masses, the people from poor families, education, it means eventually you are creating criminals, and you are also creating drug addicts without a future for Nigeria.
Prof,
that is it.
I must sincerely thank you. Professor Khalifa Dikwa is a scholar, a political scientist, the dean of Borno Elders Forum, and an elder statesman in his own right and in every sense of the word. Thank you so much indeed, Professor Dikwa. It's good to see you, flesh and blood right here.
Life,
thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Dean of Elders Forum.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.